Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of the OmniTalk Fast 5. It's January 10th, 2020. This is our first Fast 5 podcast of the year, and I am joined, as always, by my compatriots, Ann Mazinga on my left, for those watching at home, and Carter Jensen across the table. How are you guys doing today?
I'm glad you said 20. I've written 19 at least 3 times today.
I know.
Hopefully not on checks. I guess that's like a really horrible thing to do for some reason.
Oh, because all the checks you write, huh?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Okay, cool,
Like,
yeah.
I can't figure that out exactly because like you dated it in the past. Like I can't understand like why that matters. But anyway, it's every article out there right now.
Sure.
Exactly.
Is it?
On what?
I hope we have better news to cover today.
Okay.
We're-
Not on the
we're
millennial media you guys are
we're-
reading.
We're setting the 2020 bar very low so we can continue to surpass expectations on every episode.
It's nice that we're starting off on the right foot, though. I'm getting a lot of friendly ribbing, which is good. But hey, we got a big week coming up here, guys. NRF next week in New York City. I hear the weather's actually going to be quite balmy. I was told it's going to be about 60 degrees on Sunday.
No way.
way.
Yes way.
Oh my gosh.
Jeremy Nairn, Grocery Key CEO, informed me of that very fact
That changes
today.
all of my packing and travel
From
plans.
checks to the weather. What's
Yeah.
next?
I know. That is fantastic. No, but I'm pumped.
Emojis. You're going to start getting the
Crojis,
emojis out.
yeah.
Emojis, right. Yeah, God, what other old reference can we come up with? But I'm pumped. We're busy. I'll say that. But we've got a killer lineup coming. So
Yeah,
we've
your
got
guys' schedule's insane. It's
Yeah,
tons of fun to look at. There's a lot of cool content coming out that I think our listeners are going to really love. It should be a ton of fun.
absolutely. If I have time, I actually want to put it out on social media. But here's a quick rundown. Hosting a panel or not hosting a panel. I'm actually moderating a panel discussion or interviews kind of style at NRF at 4:00 about robotics with the CEO of Badger Technologies as well as a gentleman from Woolworths. And then throughout the week, we have some great podcasts lined up. We're actually going to do a podcast with them as well. We have a podcast with representative from Walmart, from Canada Goose, Gap, all on the docket for this week. So we are pretty pumped. We're also going to do a podcast with Market Beyond on their holiday data that we've been sharing. We're going to go deeper into that, talk to them about what we saw across Walmart, Amazon, and wait for it, Target as well, for those loyal listeners here in Minneapolis.
And that's the who won, right?
Yeah, who won the season.
I like those.
Yeah, those are good. And so we're going to have some Target data to throw in there. It's going to be fun, exciting. So be sure to check that out and make sure that you're signed up as a subscriber to OmniTalk so you don't miss that, and follow us on LinkedIn. And then we dropped some hot podcasts this week too, Ann. So you dropped I know I just said dropped it like it's hot again. Thanks, guys. But you dropped Abby Lursman.
Yeah, so OmniTalk listeners now have access to my interview with the Ahold Delhaize Chief Human Resources Officer, Abby Lursman. She was amazing. Some really, again, these women are just bringing it with the good advice for those of us who are, just entering our retail careers or who have been in there for a little bit to really kind of help us turn the corner. So Abby Lursman, now live on OmniTalk.
Yeah, that was a huge get. I mean, it's awesome. I can't wait to see what the response is on that one. And then we also dropped Carter just for you. As he rolls his eyes.
The eye roll.
Yes. We also dropped a couple cool podcasts, one with Happy Returns and their co-founder and CEO, David Sobey. You want to talk about one that blows your mind? Shout out to my buddy, Oven Bonsall, who listened to it this morning and said, like, wow, I never knew that all those things could be done off of returns coming out of everything David described. And then, of course, we also did a podcast this week as well with Badger Technologies heading into the event. All about how robotics is shaping the future of retail, specifically for all the in-store tasks that need to be done. So also one to give a listen to when you have time. So, Carter, you're going to be out there. You excited about anything too?
Yeah, no, it'll be super fun. We're going to overlap a little bit. I'm actually taking a little bit of a different path. I'll be attending PSFK's Future of Retail Conference, which is just at the tail end of NRF and goes through Thursday. A ton of awesome tech startups, a ton of awesome DTC companies all coming together. I think we have 30, 40 tours all lined up throughout Manhattan. And then it culminates with a great event on Wednesday where we have some great speakers and then also the retail demo day as well. So it's going to be a ton of fun. I think it'll be fun that you guys are at NRF. I'll take on this side of things and we'll culminate all back together and recap what we all learned. But there's an event on Thursday too, Chris, that you're doing that you're kind of recapping some of the NRF findings. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, actually, thanks for bringing that up. Almost completely forgot about that. Yeah, so on Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock, if you're here in Minneapolis, We'll actually videotape it as well. So if you want to go on to Third House and get access to that content, go ahead and sign up. But going to be doing a stand-up, a traditional kind of stand-up that you see, traditionally. But I'm just going to stand up. We're going to talk about everything we saw at NRF, and I'm just going to open the floor to questions. Take any questions, business-related, personal-related. It doesn't matter. I may or may not answer it, but you can ask whatever the heck you want.
Ooh,
there are no limits.
I like this. We might have to come up with some, Carter, to kick it off.
I was going to say there'll be a 10-second delay on the live feed just to make sure everything's all right.
It will not be live recorded, but we
Yes.
will record it for posterity. So, all right, well, let's kick it off this week. Let's give a shout out, of course, to our sponsor, Trigo. Trigo helps grocers unlock the true beauty of brick and mortar retailing by designing a magical checkout-free experience using computer vision and AI. Together with Tesco, Trigo is now building the largest checkout-free store ever built. And
should I kick us off?
You have the honors.
All right. So, according to Vice, New York is proposing a bill that would create a public Venmo of sorts. It's a new digital currency that they're proposing called the Inclusive Value Ledger. Now, I just want to preface for our audience, like, this concept has been around for a while in New York. It's a very complex thing, but we really wanted to make sure that it was part of the headlines this week.
Just to be clear, the concept too, or just the general proposal idea?
The concept, the proposal. Okay. I think one of my issues with this headline was that it really kind of dumbs it down to like this public Venmo, and there's a lot more to it. So I would refer our audience to read the full article in Vice, or go to qns.com, where you have the bill authors actually really going in depth, and there's a white paper and everything. But the essence of it is that lawmakers and activists are proposing a digital currency that will help nearly 14 million New Yorkers who don't have bank accounts. Now, this is designed to try to help people who are typically or underpaid. So this is for things like, you are in the neighborhood, you make food for the lady down the hall in the next apartment, you are doing mentoring, tutoring, childcare, so services that people aren't getting paid for, or maybe are making a very small stipend for. So the way that they're creating this digital currency is they're taking it's $55 million. $55 billion in New York State tax credits that are not claimed, that they're putting into these digital accounts. So every New Yorker would have this platform, and they can use that platform to pay for goods and services, so food, rent, medical expenses. It basically opens up kind of a secondary form of currency, similar to cryptocurrency. Our listeners might be more familiar with that, but it's designed to kind of use within the individual neighborhoods. So you think about like a neighborhood or community within one of the neighborhoods in New York. Now people who maybe are elderly, there's a lot of women who are playing these roles where they're doing these caretaking or are lower paid or unpaid jobs, now have a form of currency through these tax credits that they can then go into their local bodega or pay for rent or other things with this digital currency. So
it's a fascinating idea.
It is, yeah. There's a lot there. Lots to unpack.
Carter, what do you think about this one? This one's more in your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
than any of us.
I loved it, and then I hated it, and then I loved it, and then I hated it.
It's
and
hard
I
to
love
know.
it. I come on both sides of this, and here's the thing: the concept is. I absolutely love the concept. I think it's amazing. I think if anyone can do it, it's New York City, right? They did the whole thing with the taxi app a few years ago, where they had a competition of who could build really the most intuitive app to kind of combat Uber. The thing is that what we have to be really careful of is when it's a digitally based currency where you access it and use it through digital platforms. And then we pair that with some of the most vulnerable members of our community who often don't have access or the education in terms of using that. I want to make sure that, and if anyone can do it, once again, it's New York. But how do you not only provide communities with this asset, but how do you make it incredibly accessible, easy to use, and readied? So I would just hate to see this roll out and have it be so complex and not have the user in mind. With apps and smartphones and passwords and all that kind of stuff, where no one ever actually uses it because no one actually knows how to access it. One of the great things about Venmo or PayPal or whatever is the fact that they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars building the best applications, the best user interfaces, the best infrastructure to make sure that the use is so easy. Can a government entity do the same thing? And that's the question. I worry that the idea is there, but if the user interface and the really thought isn't through the entire consumer experience, this is going to fall flat and it's going to be really sad.
Yeah, or is it just a modern day version of the printed dollar? I don't know. Like, that's what's so crazy about it.
Well, I guess I'm curious, and maybe this is something that's within the cards, but could they partner with a bank of sorts? I know that's going exactly opposite, but pushing aside some of the standard limitations that banks do provide to some of these community members that are in focus, but could they partner with a bank to use their infrastructure? An entity that has already proven to be successful in terms of payments to do this.
And what do you think about this? I mean, you're generally the one that wears the tinfoil hat on this type of stuff. So
it's hard to comment on this without getting too political, I think, because Carter brings up a lot of good points. You are dealing with a population that, especially if they're unpaid or underpaid, to assume
or
that
underbanked.
Or unbanked, completely unbanked.
Either
so
one, really.
I think to assume that you have a piece of technology or to figure out a way to logistically make this work is really complex, but there's a ton of people that are getting behind this, and I guess for me, I think there's still a lot to learn about just how it's going to work out and how people are, another big part of it is to give people the ability in these communities to transfer money between one another. And I think that's still going to be really hard to get around, like not having cash, or how the government is in charge of like
here's an idea.
Who passes money to who.
Here's an idea though. Like, why wouldn't you look at a Venmo, right, and eliminate the barrier that is in place for the community that they're in focus of? So people who are unbanked, and say, you know what, you don't need to enter a Wells Fargo account. You don't need to enter your U.S. bank account. You don't need to take a picture of your ID. We will provide a government bank address that's going to work, and we're going to partner with Venmo to make sure everything is clean and clear. And you know what, we will just give you the key to unlock that barrier, and then everything else is on Venmo. And Venmo gets paid because they, like everyone else, have $55 billion they're making interest on, but they take care of the infrastructure, they take care of the transaction, they take care of the users, they take care of the support. They've already proven they can do it. So why doesn't the government come in and do what they're good at and unlock that and eliminate the barriers that they're trying to eliminate instead of recreating the entire wheel?
Yeah, and I think in essence that's the important part of this story. I think, as we were deciding the topics today, I think that was what we came down on. Regardless of whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, that's not what really matters. The fact is it's an idea, and it's an idea that gets a lot of press. I think when you look at this idea against some of the other things that are coming out of California too, it's very emblematic of the fact that things are about to change. And I wouldn't be surprised, Carter, to your point, if the people at Venmo are having that exact conversation right now about, holy crap, what do we do if this type of thing starts to work and it starts to sprout? And from a retailer perspective, which is what we do, focusing on the future and trying to be in front of the curve on the things our listeners need to know about, should know about, and pay attention to, it shows you that there's movement starting to happen in terms of digital currency and how easy we can transact. And that's going to start to impact physical retail as well as digital retail as we go forward. So, all right, let's move on to story number 2.
So story number 2 comes out of CES, which we are not at this year, which is totally okay because we're tracking everything very closely.
I've heard it's wild. Like, I've heard it's just a crazy scene.
I've gone 6-7 years of the past 10, and it's like hit and miss. Last year I went, you know what, we didn't see anything that great. And ultimately, we actually can stay closer to some of the innovations that are coming out of that conference by not being there.
Right.
Which is crazy. But ultimately, Amazon had a huge showing specifically in the auto space. So Amazon is expanding the availability of Alexa voice assistant outside of the home, letting drivers use the voice commands to ask for directions and even, yes, pay for gas. So Alexa's already available in dozens of vehicles from automakers like Audi, BMW, Ford, and Toyota. They announced integration. This is big, especially for you, Chris, because I know this hits home. Integrations within your Lamborghini.
Right.
Just so you know, because a
That was one of my
Lamborghini
favorite
without
things about
Alexa.
this.
They make Alexa for Matchbox cars now?
Yeah, they do. No. But ultimately, what Amazon is doing is they're looking to figure out how do they integrate more within the space outside of the home. And from my personal opinion, they're trying to figure out how does Alexa, how does Amazon be a constant layer in your daily life? And it's going to do that by adding value. And so they're trying to figure out how are we unlocking things like paying for gas in the Amazon platform within your car. Now, as many know, Amazon has a standalone product that you can integrate within your car, similar to having a phone on the dashboard. Just sits there on a vent mount. It's powerful. It's as powerful as an Amazon in your car. But when you look at different things like being hands-free, choosing entertainment, everything from, they even mentioned in the press release, talking about the Fire TV being actual video content, everything is on the table for Amazon right now, and they're realizing that they can be of huge value, especially when the phone is in your pocket, or it should be. They can provide a really awesome interface for the car. So it'll be super interesting to see how this works. The gas thing that I mentioned earlier is in a partnership with, I think it's Exxon. And ultimately, it will allow you to pay for gas by simply giving that voice command at over 11,000 Exxon and mobile stations, which should be super interesting. More interesting enough, you're going to use your Amazon account to pay for it. So we'll see how that goes.
So scale of 1 to 10, Carter, as a huge Alexa fan, where would you rate this story or headline?
Well, I think it's more strategically important for Amazon rather than a really cool thing that I'm going to run out and buy. Because right now, what Apple's been able to do is they have been able to transcend their touch interface and their screen interface with Siri. When it's the really only time that a lot of people use Siri, it's in the car, right? And they've paired that with CarPlay, which is super cool if you have that availability. And they figured out how do you transpose your awesome iOS interface into voice and...
Oh, it makes sense. But in terms of like impacting retail, like where would you put this? Impacting retail over the next 10-year horizon. Where would you put this story?
From a retail standpoint, I think that it is right smack dab in the middle. Like
you're a 5 on this.
I'm a 5 on this, and here's why. How much commerce are you actually doing in the car is the first thing. Like, you're not cruising by and like, oh, I would really like some flowers and say, hey, Alexa, order me some flowers. But I think that the amount of time that we have in quote-unquote downtime, 45 minutes in the car to and from work, you can get a lot of stuff done via Alexa during that time. And if they create an interface where I'm able to get my grocery shopping done, all without ever leaving the vehicle in time that I've already spent away from my family and from work, it's going to be a really, really incredible thing.
I'm dying to jump in here, and I got to hear from you first though. Like, before you, because I kind of have a feeling I know where you're gonna fall on this. Same question to you though. Scale of 1 to 10, where would you put this? Are you 5, lower,
on
higher?
how it's going to impact retail? I would say in the short term, I think, or like as it's starting to come out, I would actually say
net.
7.
Okay, why? All right, interesting. That was way higher than I predicted you would go.
Well, me personally,
Yeah,
that's totally different opinion. Like, yay, now Alexa's listening to me in my car. This is awesome. No personal thoughts. I get to just have her listen
Carter's
to
doing
me
his entire shopping
all the
list.
time. I think what Carter said is right. I think especially as you start to think about, for me, how millennials and Gen Zs are going to, I believe in the next couple of years, there will be some shifting towards like, I should probably not have things all delivered to me in 1 hour. So how can I make that list when I'm on my way home and pick it up from the Target curbside store, whatever, like have these things as Amazon expands more into distribution centers or grocery stores throughout the country in the next couple of years, being tied to that Alexa in the car, I think will have a dramatic impact on where retail is headed.
Okay.
Personally though, I just...
It's not for you.
Can't do it. No.
See, I'm like, okay, this will be fun. This will be really fun. We haven't had one of these in a while. I'm like a 9 or a 10 on this, you guys. Like,
why?
I'll tell you why. Because I think this is the first time where I've seen it tangibly. I can kind of envision it now, of where voice technology really starts to impact how physical retail is done. So I'll tell you why I say that. What's one of the most repetitive trips that you're probably making? It's probably to go fill up your car for gas, or you're on your way to work and you on your way into work and you stop in to get that cup of coffee or get that thing to eat. It's convenient. It's on the way. You get it on your go. No pun intended, as you'll see. So here now I've got a situation where I go and I say, hey, I want to pay for my gas via voice. All right, cool. All right, now, hey, I want to pay for that coffee. I want to run in and get it. Just charge it for me. I want to pay for a bag of Doritos, as you know I would buy. So now put this against Amazon Go. Amazon Go, just walk out technology. Well, what makes that technology hard? It's hard to make sure that you understand all of the movements and gyrations that are happening with your product. But if you can then correlate that with in-the-car behavior prior to people coming in, you know exactly who's coming in, what they're coming in for. It actually makes that Amazon Go technology even better, even more foolproof than it was before, because you now have another data point to correlate against it. Convenience store business, $200+ billion a year. We've got 25 Amazon Go stores. Imagine this type of setup in the car. You're interacting with it in that way. There's a lot of mileage here, no pun intended, to what this idea could be. And for the first time, I can actually see how that would work together. Whereas before, for me, all the voice applications have been like you guys have been describing, which is like, I've got time, I'm in my car, I want to make my grocery list. What do I do from here or there? This, to me, for the first time, is really different.
It's a bridge being built from two sides of the river, right? So you look at Amazon Go expanding, their footprint expanding, obviously going into the convenience store space, which really aligns well with gas stations. And then on the other side, you're looking at expanding Alexa away from the home into the car, which then has this nice keystone meat at the top when you're going to get gas and a bag of Doritos and your coffee every morning. That is my breakfast.
Wait, so say that again. What does that mean?
That basically means I'm trying to put an analogy to what you just described.
Yeah.
I'm trying to say that Amazon is building on both sides of this river.
Yes.
They're continuing to expand, obviously, their footprint within physical retail to Amazon Go, which naturally goes into gas stations because of the small footprint and the technology, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the same time, they're figuring out how to put Alexa on the user side of things closer to that experience, which is in the car. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm.
So they're building the mousetrap with Exxon again, perfecting it, and yet they still have all this opportunity.
Right, exactly. So Exxon is going to unknowingly partner, pull a bunch of data from that, and then ultimately is going to get purchased and
anything
put
to
a new
add
sign on the
one?
front door.
It's I don't know. It's incredible to me.
I just think there's still a lot of work to be done.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
What you're
sure.
describing is great and wonderful, but like even to get to where you're talking about is still to me years down the road.
Oh yeah.
Like,
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Not
it's still gonna take time.
immediate impact on retail. It's like your 9 or 10 rating is years down the road.
Oh yeah, it's very futuristic in scope. But
yeah,
to that point, let's talk number 3, because I know you love this when you talk about how things
Yes.
could change.
So another CES announcement. According to an article that we saw in Progressive Grocery this week, L'Oreal has announced Perso, which is a small device that can create custom beauty products. So Perso is basically this little beautifully, designed container that sits on your countertop, and consumers who use Perso, they have an app that L'Oreal puts out using their Modiface technology, which they own, and so you can scan your face and it will do a reading of your face saying this is the right color of foundation for you, this is what a lip color would look like on you, and you can modify that lip color while you're right in that app. Then you send that information to Perso. As it's sitting on your countertop, will mix a custom blend of foundation or lipstick or skin moisturizer for your face for that time of year. It uses AI to continue to learn all of the things about you and the products as you use them. It dispenses the correct amount in the top. You can put a lid on it and take it in your bag to go. This thing was so good, you guys. When I saw the video, I thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the size of a soap dispenser, right? When you showed it to me, like,
yes.
it's tiny. Like it just sits on your counter, and
yeah, it's absolutely insane. And it has 3 cartridges in it. In the bottom of it, that's all.
Which are auto refilled.
Yes, they have NFC tags in them, so it automatically refills them as you need them. I think that's the one outlying thing that it's like, oh, okay, how much are these cartridges, and how often are they coming?
Well,
and
so it syncs to the phone to know when you're out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is going to be launched though in 2021 with one of the leading L'Oreal skincare brands, and I am pumped. I'm definitely getting this.
Yeah, I thought this was super cool. Like when you showed me that, when you first told me this, I was like,
Anne's crazy.
Okay. No, I didn't think Anne was crazy, but I was like, okay, yeah, all right, whatever. But then you showed me the video, so everyone should check it out online, Perso, Perso, and watch this because. Again, like for the first time, I was like, this feels like Nook again. Or not Nook, but sorry, geez, I can't believe I just did that. Apologies so much to Amazon. Kindle. It feels like Kindle again. Like, okay, we're going to change the way we've traditionally sold. Kudos to to L'Oreal for doing this too. We're going to change the way people shop for cosmetics. We're going to make a better way. And we're going to be the one to do it and show it's how it's done. We're going to disrupt ourselves. And this is an example of potentially of doing that. I mean,
depending on the price point, I think that's the big
Right.
key factor here. But if this price point is the same as what it cost me to buy a bottle of foundation from, my CVS or Walgreens, like game over. This
when you
is
can always
crazy.
start high and bring it down, which
Right.
is exactly what Kindle did
Right.
over time,
Yeah.
This is like one of my favorite stories. Well, so far of 2020, obviously.
I knew that was coming.
This thing is absolutely incredible. The video does it justice. It's super cool to watch. So definitely jump onto YouTube and check it out. Here's the thing. I love when buzzworthy technology actually drives all the way to user value. That's what I love to see. Yeah. And this is a great example of doing just that. So to your point, Ann, yeah, you can use all the fancy smartphone apps and pick your makeup and pick your lipstick color. That's great and grand. And you know what? In the past, it's been fun, but really the actual true value of that is pretty minimal. But the fact that you could actually pick shades, pick what you want to look like, do all of that, and click a button, and everything you need is formulated in front of you to actually make that happen, it's super cool. And it goes beyond just cosmetics, too. So it looks at, and cosmetic beauty, I guess, but it looks at temperature, it looks at UV index, it looks at pollution in the air and says, hey, we're going to actually mix the perfect foundation, or we're going to mix the perfect face lotion for you for this day. And all of a sudden now, at the drop of a button, or even not even, because it probably knows when you need it, but the point is that it is creating the most optimal product for you for that day, for your life, using actual artificial intelligence, using augmented reality. Once again, buzzword technology that actually enabled value for the end user, and that's when we see some really awesome things unlocked.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Super cool. Could probably also tell me when I need some more vitamin D. No doubt about it.
All the time.
All right, story number 4. We're going to hit this one quick because we're actually running a little bit long here, but it's an important story, so we want to make sure it gets mentioned. And that's according to TechCrunch, Asia's richest man, Mukesh Ambani, has launched JioMart in an attempt to compete with Amazon and Flipkart. So as you know, Amazon and both Walmart, now by way of Flipkart, have been going hard after the Indian market. Now, Ambani's two companies, Reliance Retail and Reliance Jio, announced the launch of this joint venture just last week. Now, JioMart is an e-commerce venture that works closely with neighborhood stores and currently offers a catalog of 50,000 grocery items and promises free and express delivery. They plan to expand the service to many parts of India in coming months, and we are excited to see how this starts to unfold. And the reason being here for me, and I think the key highlight here is Walmart's invested a ton of money over on this. I think it's, what is it, $13-14 billion in terms of that Flipkart acquisition. Amazon's got deep pockets. It means it ain't going to be easy, right? And so the question then becomes, how distracting is it for Walmart? How much money does it cost? What impact does that have on their core business day in and day out? This is going to be something to watch. And I know many people have thought that the Flipkart acquisition could be a misguided attempt for those reasons prior to this announcement. And now this announcement makes that competitive environment even more difficult. All right, let's close it up. Carter.
Very important story. So number 5 here today is, according to a press release by useyourgiftcard.com, yep, look it up, National Use Your Gift Card Day, added to the social media calendar, will take place on January 18th. That's right. That's next Saturday. So if you're listening to this on time, that's actually next Saturday. So here's the deal. We leave $1 billion as Americans on gift cards, specifically around the holiday season. And it's something that we all know. We've lost that gift card, or it's somewhere in our pocket. Maybe there's a couple of bucks left on it. It's not worth carrying around. We throw it away. But here's the deal. Useyourgiftcard.com this year is launching, and for the holiday season, they're bringing out their own day. That's right, January 18th. So retailers who are partnering with them are able to give really the people who own these gift cards special incentives to get out and actually use them. So from a retail standpoint, it's awesome. Get people back into your store, overspend, use those gift cards, etc. That's really what they want them to do. And some of the partners coming out of the gate are some big retailers. You look at Kohl's, PetSmart, Macy's, Saks Fifth Ave, Chipotle, Express, and even Simon Malls. So again, this is January 18th, the third Saturday of January, and they're expecting to do this year over year over year. Ideally, depending on how it goes, gaining some more traction from some big retailers.
I give this holiday one try.
Really?
I gave it a lot of excitement in my read, though.
Did
I thought,
you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, in your read, yes.
You don't
I
like
tried
it?
to pump it up as
you
much as
have
I could.
Hold the phone. Time out. You don't like this?
I mean, it's a gimmick.
I love it. That's what retail is. Retail's all about gimmicks. This is great.
Okay.
Oh my God.
What do you love about it?
I'm so contrarian to you guys today. This is fantastic. This is an idea where I'm like, why hasn't this happened before? Right? You've got all this unused money. Retailers are struggling on traffic. Let's make sure there's a frickin' day. And let's also, by the way, give people incentives to, if we need to, give them incentives to spend the gift card and on other stuff while they're there.
Why don't we do like a box? It's like
it's a natural thing.
It's another Black Friday, but it's the exact opposite. It's just the inverse.
Well,
it's better than Prime Day.
I think though. Is it though?
I mean, Prime Day is like completely made up. This actually is like people have these things, or Way Day or whatever, and those work well too. Like that's the other thing. This is like super built in. So and I'm not discounting those because I think those are great ideas too. This is just to me even better than those because it's already built into the consumer behavior to have all these things.
The value add is super easy too.
Right.
I can spend 30%. I can get 30% more things on my gift card if I go today than tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and as far as I was reading and understanding that the merchandiser or the retailer who is putting the gift cards out, they don't actually account for the revenue until the gift card is redeemed.
It's always the way.
So I think that will that could have a big impact. We'll see.
It's a good push for end of year earnings too. Like get that revenue in that you technically haven't
that's
booked.
true.
But
that's a good point.
yeah, I don't know. That's funny. I like it. This was a fun podcast. I got to go a little bit different against the grain than you. Usually it's you two arguing it out, not the two of you arguing against me. So I like that. All right, well, let's close it up. Again, excited about New York this week. If you happen to be in town, please stop by the show on Sunday, 4 p.m. I'll be on stage interviewing Tim Rowland of Badger Technologies and Rob McCartney of Woolworths. And as Carter mentioned, on Thursday the 16th in Minneapolis at 4 p.m., we will have a stand-up where we'll talk about everything we saw at NRF, everything we learned from the presentations, our podcasts. And that event is sponsored by our friends at the Navio Group, too. So special thanks to them for putting that on. And, of course, like, review, and subscribe to our content. As always, every little difference makes a difference. And one quick plug, if you also happen to be in New York, keep an eye out on social media because rumor has it we might be throwing an impromptu happy hour on Monday night. And we'd love for all of you to stop by, have a few drinks with us. So on that note, as always, be careful out there.